Fallout 4 gives you a lot of opportunities to be a downright terrible person, changing the face of the Commonwealth for the absolute worst. From preying on the innocent, aiding and abetting other evil NPCs, and giving away all of our stuff to questionable cults. In this video, we'll be breaking down another 10 terrible decisions that you can make in Fallout 4. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. First up, it's no question that Travis Miles from Diamond City Radio is a terrible host for the show, chiming in with painfully unconfident announcements from time to time, and overall making Diamond City appear weak and spineless. Fortunately, the Bobrov brothers have a plan to boost Travis's confidence.
Something must be done. Radio is bad for business, makes customers unhappy. Either we have unhappy customers listening to bad DJ, or we have no music and customers have boredom. Someone needs to get rid of him. We need a new DJ for the radio. I don't think many would notice if he, disappeared.
Of course, Vadim is joking here initially, and the actual plan is to stage dangerous situations for Travis to get into, ultimately making him realize he's capable of more than he believes and boosting his confidence. After this, Travis's demeanor on the radio will be far more smooth and confident and, easy to listen to. But there is an option, albeit a very dark one, to carry out the plan Vadim only joked about. If Travis somehow dies during the quest, and this can be as simple as just shooting him and leaving Diamond City for a couple days. Bounty systems don't really exist in Fallout 4, I found, but then Diamond City really will be deprived of its DJ. But you know what they say about every cloud, and this provides a brilliant opportunity for an already very business-savvy young kid. Shane Kowalski lives behind the Radio Shack and is in charge of Diamond City's water supply, selling purified bottled water and potentially employing us to clean any debris from the reservoir. This will, however, include a human skull from the last guy Cheng asked, so yeah, this guy's been selling water to Diamond City's residents that contained traces of one of their own.
Hey, once the filters do their job, it's all water under the bridge. Am I right?
That aside, should Travis die for whatever reason, then Shang will take over as the voice of Diamond City Radio, using it also as a golden opportunity to promote his first business.
Hey, so, that Travis guy is dead. This is Shane Kowalski, seller of fine water products, and I guess I'll play the music from now on.
To be fair, tragically needless as Travis' death was, the kids got more confidence than him prior to Confidence Man, so I imagine nobody will complain about a little extra advertising.
You know what goes great with classic music? Fresh, clean, bottled water. That's right, everyone. Shane Kowalski here. You know where to find me.
And you know what goes great with Fallout YouTube videos? High-quality metal displays. That's right, everyone. Sam Bram here. You know where to find the affiliate link. Next up on our Walk of Evil, the Silver Shroud was a costume we donned to bring hope and justice to the town of Goodneighbor. But, just like all vigilantes, it painted a target not just on our back, but those of our associates. Something which led Kent Connolly, the brainchild of this whole operation, to be kidnapped and held ransom by a group of raiders led by a ghoul named St. John. Usually, the op is fairly simple. We fight through an abandoned medical hospital to the raider boss, save Kent, and deal out wrathful justice to those behind this. But the Silver Shroud doesn't need to be a paragon of heroism. He is us, and we can be whoever we want, including a madman, storming into the room and straight up shooting the one person that St. John thought was their bargaining chip, our friend, Kent, freaking the absolute hell out of the rest of the raider crew.
He's crazier than St. John.
What the? Turn against your master now, ne'er-do-wells, or face my rightful vengeance.
What?
Just don't kill us. Jesus.
You're going down.
Now, needlessly and illogically evil as doing this is, I'd say it's worth it, at least on a brief quick save, just to see the looks of utter confusion and bewilderment on St. John and crew's faces. In fact, the crew won't actually join in the fight, provided we use the Shroud intimidation option, though sadly they don't seem to actually turn on and kill St. John for us either. What's worse is that upon returning to Hancock after saving the day here, he's seemingly oblivious to the fact that we also shot down the man we were sent to save in cold blood. In fact, he doesn't even mention Kent's name, rewarding us for saving the town, and entirely forgetting the man who put this idea in motion, hell, who ran Silver Shroud Radio and brought the character back into fame to begin with. There is no real logical reason to shoot Kent, but it's still cool that Bethesda added this additional dialogue knowing that people would do it anyway. During the quest, Emma Jean takes a lover, will be sent to retrieve the functionally immortal daughter of Lorenzo Cabot from a cult led by a man she'd taken an interest in. Brother Thomas is one of those guys pertaining to have the answers to everything you need in life, and the ability to somehow revert things back to pre-war life, all in a ploy to draw in unwitting residents from the Commonwealth.
I'm not selling anything, neighbor. I'm giving away the secrets of long life, happiness, and prosperity. Giving them away.
He also is an NPC that can be met any time before starting the Cabot questline, in which case he'll be operating under a different name. In fact, if you are going to fall victim to the terrible decision we can make here, it may be best to meet the cult before coming here in search of Emma Jean. It's funnier this way. Asking Brother Thomas, or in this case Brother Andrew, all the important questions. Can we leave after joining? Do we need to do anything? What's the point of all this? He'll provide every possible assurance. Things like, we'll never want to leave once joining, that all we need is a willing spirit, and that we can simply, by changing our state of mind, revert to pre-war ways. Sounds pretty good, I guess, so stepping into Brother Andrew's office to learn what's first, this is where things start to become a little more suspect.
The first step is simple. You have to learn to give up your attachment to material possessions in order to gain the ability to have true wealth, health, and happiness. Just go ahead and give me everything you own, and I'll initiate you as a first-level pillar of the community.
Now, technically, this has the potential to be the actual worst decision of Fallout 4, but it is kind of hilarious just how far it can go. There were opportunities in previous Fallout games to lose all of our caps. The Wind Brahmin Nightkin from New Vegas, for instance, springs to mind, but in this case, picking the give everything option does exactly what it says.
Okay, fine. Here's everything I've got.
Good choice. Congratulations. You're officially a pillar of the community. Now get the fuck out of my office.
Cool. Cool. Honestly, I don't know what's funnier, actually. The sudden undressing animation, or the very long cycle of remove notifications marking us willingly giving away all of our things to a man we could have easily taken down. What's more, he now has full use of everything that was in our inventory, and we have nothing. Literally nothing, save for a few essential quest items, maybe. Making the fight to get our stuff back now significantly more difficult. So instead, why not play into the whole cult initiate thing even more? I mean, I hear there's a level 2.
How will I know when I'm ready for level 2?
Oh, you'll know. Good things will start to happen. You'll see. You just have to keep working on level 1 until they do.
Can't you already feel your life changing for the better?
Well, things have definitely changed for the colder so far.
I'm so glad you decided to join us.
But you know what? These people are so nice and welcoming, maybe this wasn't such a bad decision after all. In fact, we can even thank Brother Andrew, whatever, for such a wonderful opportunity.
I just wanted to thank you. Becoming a pillar has changed my life.
Thanks. Just keep working on level 1 and see if good things don't start to happen. I deserve a better life. Am I right?
Yeah, this guy really gives a whole new meaning to the phrase, you will own nothing and be happy. On the bright side, over-encumbrance won't be an issue for quite a while now. Heading over to Longneck Lukowski's cannery next, where a guy called Theodore Collins packs and ships meats all across the Commonwealth. We may meet a settler before coming here, complaining about getting ill from a can of Lukowski's, and that same sentiment will be repeated by a trader when we first enter. Practical, as canned meat is in the Commonwealth, people are for some reason starting to get sick from this particular one. Heading further into the cannery, Theodore will say we're welcome to have a look around, just to stay out of the basement. So, naturally disrespecting this man's requests on his own property and heading down there, we'll find out why. See, after getting the cannery back up and running, Theodore continued to run into supply issues with acquiring meat from traveling settlers. That, coupled with machinery teething issues, meant the meat he was buying continued to spoil before he could get it canned. So, in order to keep profits up, Theodore was forced to mix in fresh mole rat meats from the ones he killed down in the basement. Eventually, the increased supply meant sales picked up, and suddenly Theodore found he once again couldn't obtain the supply to meet demands, even with the mole rat meats. So he needed an additional source still. It just so happened that an explosion in the side of the basement had opened an entrance to some old sewers, from which feral ghouls would continue wandering in. And what is a ghoul, if not originally a human altered into some immortal zombie-like creature by radiation? Eating one perhaps wouldn't fall entirely under cannibalism, but it's pretty much as close as you can get, and from a personal health perspective, could have potentially even more damaging effects. No wonder the people of the Commonwealth are getting sick from Lukowski's cannery. In fact, finding a way back upstairs, it's not even a ghoul he was last carving up, but a glowing one, positively saturated with radiation. And now that we know the secrets, Theodore cannot possibly leave us alive. After all, what's a few sick people when you're in the canned meat empire business?
I told you to stay out of the basement! Now that you know my little secret, I'll just have to kill you.
This can be a simple showdown. Kill Theodore in self-defense and put an end to this factory of sickness. But if we say just punch him a few times, Theodore will quickly back down, desperately concocting a way to save his own skin.
Look, we can run this place together. You look the other way and I'll give you a cut of the profits.
So you can feed people ghoul meat?
Ghouls are no different than any other dumb animal. They're an untapped food source.
Be interesting to see whether he actually eats the canned meat as well, if he's so certain that this is fine. Probably not, given the complaints he must receive on the regular. But yes, we can indeed have our silence bought, receiving a relatively meager upfront payment and a discount on Theodore's stock thereafter. Returning every week or so will net an even smaller amount of caps, but something I suppose is better than nothing, if you can be bothered to keep making the trip. And in fairness, from a gameplay perspective, this mystery meat is actually a decent health regen item in a pinch. From a moral standpoint, knowingly poisoning the people of the Commonwealth is a pretty terrible thing to do, but from a cold, business-oriented mindset, cutting a deal to keep selling people what is near enough human meat does make sense if we want more caps. Mama Murphy has an ability that few in the Fallout universe can lay claim to. After taking chems, her mind can be expanded in a way to allow her to see into the future, and sometimes also the past, often providing insights that are game-changing, such as the reset code for the Institute Corsa that we need to kill. I'm also currently working on a video for Fallout Mysteries where I delve into this ability further and look at where it may have come from, so be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on that. But despite needing chems, in her case, for the site to work, using them takes a physical toll on her, just as it would anyone else. More so, even, given her advanced years. In fact, Mama Murphy only actually has 5 more chem trips left in her before she keels over and dies. Luckily, with very high charisma, we can convince her to drop this habit entirely. She'll try to insist that the advantages of the site are more important than her own life, and sure, they are pretty useful in certain situations, but even still, we can do the right thing here and convince her to stop.
The site isn't worth killing yourself over, Mama Murphy. It doesn't have to define what you are, or what you can give.
All right, kid. You got me. If me hanging around for a little longer is worth that much to you, then I'll go clean. No more chems, no more sight.
I guess she meant that literally. No, I took Day Tripper to buff my charisma for that check, and I don't think it plays well with my EMB. Fun timing though. With the newfound strength of not taking chems, Mama Murphy can now occupy a more classic settler role at Sanctuary. A happy ending for her for sure, and a nice retirement to enjoy after the years of getting high for the good of others. But what about that other option? Getting greedy with our prophetic readings and accidentally killing our psychic. It only takes 5 chem trips for Mama Murphy to kick the buckets, with it being very clear each time that this is severely affecting her health. At which point, plying her her with chems and avoiding the warning signs for our own benefits feels definitely kind of evil, or at the very least pretty selfish, with the last chem specifically being Psycho, apparently made to Walter White level quality.
Oh, Lord. That's pure. Gonna be an interesting trip. Oh, no. You should have seen this coming.
I told her the chems will kill her. Damn it. I should have done something.
And yes, all the original Concord lot will then get sad and mourn in their own way. Preston blaming himself whilst standing right on top of her body, and Marcy, lovely woman that she is, saying this about the whole thing.
Are you kidding me? What are we going to do without the site?
The best thing to do is probably get 4 sight readings, then convince her to quit, but I think the point is that without prior knowledge to how many more chems Mama Murphy can take, we are continuing to put her life on the line purely to suit our own ends. And for a woman who may be so much more than she first appears, that's a real shame. The last voyage of the USS Constitution is, in my opinion, one of the most brilliant and unique quests in Fallout 4, featuring a collective of robots reformed into a naval crew who want to sail the ocean on a ship from the late 1700s. The only problem is it's setting a ways inland on a building. Somehow. Probably big tidal waves from the war or something. However, after probably decades of work, the ship is now outfitted with rockets and has the potential to fly back to its home in the ocean. And thanks to our being a pre-war member of the military, we're welcomed aboard to help make that happen, performing all the tasks that robots can't complete themselves, like rewiring the thing and recovering spare parts, ensuring Captain Ironsides and his metal crew can finally sail across to China to aid in the war efforts. You know, the one that ended 200 years ago. But regardless of whether or not their goals make sense, getting the USS Constitution to fly is definitely one of the coolest moments in the game. Hell, we can even fly on it if we make use of a jetpack, but that's only if we actually follow through with helping the robots. Alternatively, in the streets down below is a scavenger woman named Mandy and her gang, who instead want to take over the USS Constitution and destroy the robots aboard it, salvaging all the plunder inside and selling it for a hefty profit. And since we uniquely have been welcomed aboard, we are in a position to help out with this. If we specifically bring the turbo pump bearings to Mandy before installing them on the Constitution, they can be sabotaged to explode the engines and ensure the ship will never fly. This will, however, turn Ironsides and crew hostile, and we'll now have to take them all down. But hey, maybe you think it's worth it for the plunder, or maybe you just think the scavenger's goal makes a lot more sense than the robots. But there are at least 3 good reasons not to do this, and simply help Ironsides instead. 1. The scavengers do not honor their words. Despite our instrumental role in the success of their plan, Mandy will backstab us the first chance she gets.
This is awkward. We had a vote, and we decided we're not gonna split the hall with you. For what it's worth, I voted against it. They also voted to have you dealt with permanently. Can't have you disputing our claim later. So here's the part where you die.
Definitely not the most gratuitous bunch. But then, on the other hand, there is more loot to go around for us to have all to ourselves this way, though there too, there's arguably a better piece of loot that can only be gained by helping Ironsides. The literal hand cannon that is the Broadsider, which will only be rewarded by Ironsides if we repair the ship without sabotaging it. So arguably, siding with the scavengers isn't worth it on the loot front either. Finally, as mentioned, watching this thing take off is just awesome. Even though it doesn't quite make it to the sea, watching the thing crash into another building is a very cool moment. If you are going to ride it up there as well, just make sure to hang around at the back of the ship, as you will die on impact with the building once it gets close. Though don't stand on the little boat thing at the back either, as that'll disappear when it gets to the building. With this all done, the quest will then come up as completed, but actually speaking to Ironsides again, will be awarded the extra bonus reward of a lieutenant hat as well. So lots of rewards for siding with the Constitution here, and pretty much none for siding with the scavengers. heading over to Far Harbor for these next two, Vault 118 was originally conceived as an experiment to see whether a vault could successfully be divided into an upper and lower class wing. This was never fully realized, however, as after the construction of the upper class wing was completed, the chief financier, Ezra Parker, simply cut funding. The few affluent residents of Vault 118 all agreed their best chances of surviving the longest was to turn themselves into Robobrains, and thus they existed, all in semi-robotic form, down here for over 200 years. That was until one day, where one of the residents, Ezra Parker, was found laying dead inside the vault. Beginning the quest, Brain Dead. Get it? Because they're Robo-Brains? A classic murder mystery investigation will be called down here as an outside detective to interview suspects, examine clues, and ultimately determine who Ezra's killer was. With, of course, a classic Robo-Brain romance to go alongside it, too.
That was great, Detective. But we probably shouldn't make a habit of this. Catch you later, Tiger.
Following these clues will eventually point us towards Juliana Ricks, who was seen arguing with Ezra a few days prior, accusing him of embezzling the funds paid by the other wealthy vault residents that should have gone to the vault construction. In fact, it turns out the reason that the lower class section of the vault wasn't completed was because of Ezra's embezzling. Thus, on the day that the bombs fell, 300 more people who should have been admitted were forced to remain on the surface and deal with the fallout. You probably wouldn't blame Juliana for doing what she did, having found out all of that, and namely for the fact that she'd been stolen from. But it does get a little worse than that.
Ezra was embezzling your money. That's why you killed him and framed Keith.
You were so close, Detective.
It's a shame. I thought I could keep the ruse going a little longer. Oh, well, had to end eventually, I suppose.
Ezra wasn't actually murdered at all. After Juliana confronted him about embezzling, he killed her. And because Robobrains all look alike, all he had to do was switch his tie for her face mask and change his voice modulator to match Juliana's, giving Ezra more time in the vault to embezzle more funds, whilst everybody thought he was dead. So make that 301 people he's now responsible for killing. However, despite all that, despite our best efforts to unravel this mystery, we can, either for a bribe of pre-war money or simply for no reason at all, let Ezra walk away.
Just walk away. I'll leave, and you can tell them I escaped.
Okay, I'll let you go.
Well, I'm glad you've decided to be reasonable.
After that, Ezra will simply wheel out of the vault completely undetected and will be letting a mass murdering criminal go free for pretty much no reason. Not exactly the best choice in and of itself, but the worst part about it all is the potential soft lock for the entire Brain Dead quest. Letting Ezra leave can create a permanent quest objective to tell Maxwell about all this, though the dialogue options themselves will no longer display the option to do so, leaving the quest as permanently incomplete. There's a lot of variables to this quest, mind you, so it's not a guaranteed problem, but it can be very much a downer on which to end this one. Another quest decision that can leave you significantly worse off for very little gain relates to the quest Turn Back the Fog, wherein Small Bertha will task us with reclaiming Echo Lake Lumber Mill on the far side of the island, letting the Far Harbor citizens expand before they slowly wither away on their little dock. Heading over there, the place will be overrun with feral ghouls and glowing ones, but taking them all out shouldn't be too much of an issue. However, if after doing so, we don't fast travel back to Small Bertha immediately, a very creepy guy named Malcolm will show up back at the mill.
Fog's quiet. The land's mine again. For what you done, you can leave. Leave before I need to go a-hunting and kill.
Malcolm is a man driven entirely insane by the fog, letting it invade and corrupt his mind.
Started breathing it in deep. Made peace with it.
Yeah, Malcolm is also a cannibal, and if we leave him here at Echo Lake Lumber, he will capture, kill, and eat the citizens of Far Harbor. He will also pay us a few caps for sending them to him, but given the place never then actually gets set up with fog condensers in this case, we can never claim Echo Lake Lumber as a settlement, one of the better few in Far Harbor, in my opinion. You'd think we might at least warn Small Bertha about the crazed cannibal living over there, but again, we can just totally deceive some poor fishermen to their gruesome deaths.
The lumber mill's ready for you.
We gotta go see the captain.
A while later, in Far Harbor, listening to the idle chatter of harbormen, we'll be able to then hear this line.
Nobody's heard nothing for those dregs that went inland.
Belly gets so awful empty in the fog. To me, their meat, your meat, all of us are.
Literally no reason to do this, aside from caps, but again, I'd say the settlement is far more valuable anyway. But if going for a some men just want to watch the world burn playthrough, it's a needlessly terrible choice that we can of course make. Whilst Far Harbor has plenty of awful choices we can make, check out my original top 10 worst decisions in Fallout 4 if you want to see more. Nuka World certainly isn't lacking in that department either. Take for instance the Cappy in a Haystack quest, where we're tasked with painstakingly routing around every major Nuka World attraction, all whilst wearing some very on-the-nose glasses merch, all on behalf of the biggest Nuka Cola fan in the world, Sierra Petrova.
I collect all the merchandise I can find. Like these awesome Cappy glasses I'm wearing.
It's said that if we find all of the hidden Cappies, we'll be able to unlock the very formula for Nuka Cola itself, as we'll then have the code to access the secret vaults of John Caleb Bradburton, original creator of Nuka Cola.
Well, anyone who stared at Nuka Cola merchandise as long as I have will get this one pretty fast. The letters definitely spell refreshing. It's simpler than I was expecting.
Quite how nobody's ever picked up on that is unclear, given the ridiculous lengths people go to solve Easter eggs in real life, but heading on inside, we will not only be greeted with the very vault containing the formula for Nuka Cola, but also its founder, John Caleb Bradburton, still alive after all this time, having been turned into a frozen head, foolishly accepting the offer to become immortal without reading the fine print. I mean, ghouls and even Robobrains get to live forever and can still move around, but Bradburton has simply been immobile, trapped alone, and not allowed to die for 200 years. So, is it any surprise when we finally find him that he agrees to give up access to the vaults in exchange for one very simple thing?
You can have them on one condition. I want you to shut off the power to this machine that's keeping me alive. I want to die.
I mean, fair enough, given his predicament. But of course, fan of Nuka Cola that she is, Sierra will not readily permit that.
You can't kill him. He's a great man. He invented Nuka Cola, the best thing in the world.
Lady, you don't know what a torment it is. Being trapped here alone and staring at the same wall, decade after decade. Now please shut up.
So we have a choice. Allow Bradburton to finally escape this terrible existence, or subject him to yet another eternity of it, only this time with his own variant of the adoring fan. Now, Sierra may not seem that bad to us, but then we didn't invent Nuka Cola, and in addition to the fact that we'd be subjecting a great man to an eternity of torment by keeping him alive, we'll also miss out on all of the goodies in the vaults, including a modified fat man designed to fire nukes containing Nuka Cola Quantum, significantly deadlier than they sound. The only counteroffer that Sierra has is a Nuka World themed jumpsuit, though it is possible to get that in addition to everything else by first agreeing to keep Bradburton alive, then immediately do a 180 and go back on that deal. Though doing it this way, Sierra will be very mad and will be forced to take her down in self-defense. Perhaps a little evil in and of itself, definitely dishonorable, but at least in that case, Sierra is the one who tries to kill us first. Personally, giving in to Bradburton's wishes feels by far the best thing to do here. I mean, the guy's definitely suffered for long enough. We may have already fallen victim to one rip-off cult in this video, but shall we do it again? To the southwest of Nuka World lies the camp of the Hubologists, a group who, on the surface, appear to be peddling similar ideas to those spouted by Brother Thomas.
We can help you find inner peace and happiness. We can help you master the amazing powers of the mind.
The only difference here, though, is that paying for what the Hubologists are selling, a process called alignment, we will actually receive altered stats, coming in the form of continually increased intelligence in exchange for radiation and decreased health, making it possible to rack up a lot more experience with that intelligence buff very quickly, though the effect only lasts for a few in-game days. We can undergo alignment 8 different times, with each becoming vastly more expensive than the last, starting at 50 caps and ending at 10,000. Again, this is merely for a temporary intelligence buff, but a huge health reduction to go with it. Running through all 8 stages at once though can buff our intelligence to something ridiculous, like in my case 44. Pretty cool to see in the stat menu, but at a cost of a total 19,400 caps. Still, let's take it as proof that Hubology does, in some form at least, actually work. The Hubologists may still just be effectively a cult, but they are at least built on something a little bit real, with all evidence pointing to a likely connection with the Zetans, given they have in their possession alien blasters and ammo. With that said, come the end of the main Hubologist quest, Trip to the Stars, we'll have the option to bring these guys to a pretty gruesome end. Despite clearly having some basis behind their beliefs, the Hubologists still think some bizarre things. For instance, that an old fairground ride shaped like a UFO is somehow going to carry them to the stars. And regardless of whether or not there's also some basis to that, our job is to get the ride back up and running again by finding fusion cores. The quest objective will be to place 3 more, giving the ride the appropriate amount of power and seeming to achieve little more than just making the Hubologists dizzy. However, if we fill all 4 fusion core slots, things will go a little beyond dizziness.
Something's wrong. Shut it down. Shut it down.
The worst part about this one is it's also just a very easy mistake to make. There's enough fusion core slots in the fuse board, and it therefore maybe stands to reason that the ride wouldn't so easily be overloadable. And once we place fusion cores in it, we can't simply remove them again. So this can very easily be accidentally done with zero malicious intent, resulting in a shocking surprise for us, and even more so for the Hubologists. But hey, if you feel that 19,400 caps for a temporary intelligence buff was a complete ripoff, then it is an effective strategy to get revenge. But let me know in the comments any more evil or just downright terrible decisions you know of in Fallout 4, and who knows, maybe in the future I'll make a part 3. Massive thank you as always to all the Patreon supporters for helping to bring you more content like this. Cheers of course for watching, I'm Sam Bram, and I'll see you in the next one.